Top 10 list time. Dueling top 10 lists. I know Amy and I had a thorough discussion about this. She wanted to, I started with 24, 25 horses today and whittled it down to 10. Now, that's a good thing. We have 25 horses that I believe are worth top 10 list recognition. Now, I will talk about a couple of horses that I did not put on my top 10. Judy's Money has been good again. She was great again yesterday. Did not make my top 10. Love Sensation, who I think has all the attributes to be a very, very good horse, did not make my top 10 this week. I don't want to say too many because I don't want to
start.
I'm not allowed to look at my list. Anyway, we're going to talk about the top 10 horses in the top 10 horses, mine and Amy's. I will tell you right now, I alluded to a horse that I put at number 2 that I ended up dropping off to number 11, and that was Uncle Danny. Uncle Danny, we put the hobbles on him for the first time, and I had gone with him on Friday. Just scooted him a quarter of a mile, just to make sure the hobbles were on right. They felt good, that Danny was trotting well, and by the time I pulled him up, I said, man, it's a good horse. Who was the horse that everybody loved? The Uncle Peter from the first year. We had 3 good ones that year. I ended up selling him to Larry Stahlbaum in New York. What was his name? He won his Oso Pine. He reminds me so much of Oso Pine. It's not even funny. Anyway, top 10 list coming your way right now. You're going to start. Number 10.
Steady Volo.
You have to talk about him.
Steady Volo's always on my top 10 list. He's slipped a little bit. Just because a couple of the horses train better than him. So.
That's fair. And I think this is the time of year, I talked quickly in the opening about an email I had received from Joel, and we talk all the time on email. Good guy, old horseman, right? Been around forever, was a caretaker, I believe, when he was younger, so knows horses. And he said he was surprised to hear that I rely on the training trips to show me which horses maybe are showing the signs of having a little bit of soreness. This time of year, middle of March till May 1st, you have to be very careful. That's when their knees start to bother them, and you have to watch closely. And Joel's take on it was, well, the caretakers should be on top of that. They should know when the horses... That's correct. You can tell when there's a little bit of heat in their knees, but this time of year, there's heat in almost every 2-year-old's knees. And that doesn't necessarily mean that horse is lame in their knees. We do paint them all the time. We do blister a lot in the barn. But when it comes to the meat and potatoes of the whole thing is I need to know who doesn't look right training. And the only way to do that is to look at them and say, okay, week over week over week, who has changed? I need to see the changes. And you're right, with Steady Volo, he did look a little rough in the turns. Do the flip-flops need to come off? Are his knees bothering him a little bit? Do we have to back off with him a tiny bit? These are all things that are very important that we need to look into. I saw him yesterday too, and he was picking away at his lunch. So something was bothering him a little bit. So it's something we will address immediately over the next week or so. And Steady Volo's your number 10. I'm going to tell you something that's going to shock you. And I don't think it was fair to him, but it's just the way it shook out. I didn't put him on my top 10 this week. He's been top 3 his entire life. I just felt that there was 10 horses that did a better job this week. And when I looked at it, I said, can I factor in Steady Volo's mile this week and put him ahead of any of those 10? And I couldn't. And that's not to say that he has slipped or he's worse or anything, but I'm looking at it saying, okay, how can I possibly put him ahead of any of these? So he didn't make my top 10 this week for the first time ever. And I'll be paying very close attention to Steady Volo this week myself. Starting tonight when I go back. I want to see how he ate his supper and how he feels. My number 10, and I had to shift some horses around to get her on it too. I thought if you'd asked me on Friday what my top 10 would look like, totally different than what it looked like after the training. Diosa della Danza has mauled everybody the last 3 weeks in training and made them like it. And I really thought that would be an extension into this week. And when I watched the video too, a little rolly coming out of the turns, when we really stepped on it, they kind of got away on her a bit and she caught up again. It just looked like she was lost a little bit on Saturday. And that's a good thing. That's good for the horses to look.
Well, you need to remember too that you always had her in with trotters.
No, she beat everybody the last 2 training trips, all the best pacers, mauled them and made them like it the last 2 training trips. You maybe never saw it. You had Millie Girl in with the Trotters the other day, and the week before she beat you with Millie Girl, I think, at the wire, up the inside. She's been very, very good. And it doesn't really matter. All these horses in the top 10, all these horses in the top 25 can jump up at any time, but it has to be this week. So I looked at the list. I moved some horses around to get her on the list because the way she's been training, it would be a disservice to her not to put her on it. She didn't train bad yesterday. When you're going a good last half and you're going a good last quarter and you're sitting fifth, it's really, really hard to make up ground. And I thought that she trained good and deserved to be on the list, and that was the final straw that took on Uncle Danny off the top 10. Uncle Danny won his set yesterday, yet I still put Diosa Della Donza at number 10. You're number 9.
Love Sensation.
Love Sensation. Okay.
She's been improving almost every time she trains. She's doing better.
I'm not going to let you away with 2 sentences.
I don't know. Well, that's how you make the list. Training well, consistently.
What do you like about her?
I think her attitude's come around, and I
agree.
think that she was behind everybody else, and now she's starting to catch up, and she looks good.
I agree with everything you said. I did not put her on my top 10 list, but everything you just said is 100% correct. And in fact, if I factor in if I move in the fact that she absolutely is behind everybody, there's no way she's not, then maybe she should have made my top 10. Very nice filly, looks really good going, but what I like about her, she's understanding her work and she's competitive now, and I like that about her. She did not make my top 10 list, but could have easily, and I certainly don't disagree with her being on yours. My number 9 was Neuromancer. I put Neuromancer on number 9. He's been up near the top for quite a while, and I think he'll regain that also. I just looked and said, okay, I can't in good faith put him ahead of any of the 8 ahead of him the way they trained yesterday. He trained great yesterday. I had his hobbles too tight, but as I said to you when you asked about Zena Camp and moving her, just keep them trotting. We can make adjustments and train them again on Wednesday. They're going to go slower, but train them again on Wednesday. We can make these minor adjustments, but you have to start from a staging point where they're going to do their work. Don't put them in a vulnerable place to make a break. There's no need of it yesterday. Right? And the hobbles, sure, I could have turned him and said, hey, you know what, those are tight. I'm going to let them out a couple of holes. Then he makes a break. I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. You know what? I'm going to leave them where they are for now. His hobbles were a little bit tight yesterday. They can go out. But he trained very, very good. My number 9, Neuromancer. I love this horse. I love everything about him. And I could easily see him being a top 3 horse as we head into the summer. But yesterday, for right now, he's number 9. You're number 8.
Number 8, Uncle Danny.
Mm-hmm.
He was always, like, really... I don't want to say really good, but he was also always training really good, and then he kind of fell off the radar for a little bit, but he trained really good yesterday.
He made a couple of breaks at the wire training for people over the last month, and I just had enough. I said the breaks at the wire are unacceptable, and let's see how he looks with the hobbles on. And I put the hobbles on him, and I hadn't gotten them in a long time. I put the hobbles on him, and I trained him a quarter on Friday, and he felt unbelievably good. I had him originally listed at number 2. That's how good I thought he was. But then as we look through the list, there has to be a component of consistency in there. And Uncle Danny had made some breaks, and of late was okay, but other horses had been better. And I think you're right. I think he is one of our best horses. I think he would be my early favorite. Now, we have a lot of nice colts. We have Emerald Tom. We have him. Who's a couple of the other nice colts we have? We have about 4, if not 5, really nice Ohio breds. And I think my early favorite to be our horse to race in the next gen would be Uncle Danny, although Emerald Tom, I'm missing one really good. He should be on here, I guess. I can't think of who it is, but
Peter is good, but I don't know.
Here's the Fearless Peter, really nice colt also. I think he's going to get better and better. We have a number of really nice Ohio breds, 3 or 4 on each side, the fillies and the colts that look really good, and some nice pacers also. But I think the early favorite, if you're going to have an early favorite on April 1st of the next generation, which is July the 1st, April to May, May to June, June, July, 90 days out, my 90-day early favorite would be Uncle Danny on the colt side. He did not make my top 10. My number 8 is Sweet Lake. I think Sweet Lake has got a very, very, very bright future. I like everything about her. And the thing I liked most, the thing that bothered me the most, was that everybody that went with her said they thought she was okay, but a little bumpy. And every time I went with her, she was amazing. And I was frustrated not being able to figure out why. We changed her gear a little bit. Eric went with her yesterday and worked her hard, and she was awesome. Very, very good. Thought she was second. She was not. She was third. Highest honors was second and looked good finishing second. But my number 8 is Sweet Lake. I just think I think the world, Sweet Lou filly, really, really strong family. I think the world of this filly. I like her a lot. Number 8, Sweet Lake. You're number 7.
Answer. Although I didn't get to see the video yet, so thanks for that.
She was good. Didn't meet Bobby, but very good.
Okay.
It's not my fault you didn't see the video. It's right here. I can tell you how it went. She sat, finished up strong.
Yeah, thanks.
Went by everybody up the inside after the wire, and then I got back by her again halfway down the backstretch, just after a mile with Bobby again. Bobby was awesome, but answer number 7, again, that's a super tight race for the fillies. There's no joke. Those are 3, and I can only look historically speaking how good they are, and I just think, and every year I say this, you go back and look, you know, I think that we have some really nice Ohio breds. Every year I say this, it's not lost on me, but when I look at...
I just want to point out that almost all of our Uncle Peters are doing well.
It's funny you say that.
And you never bred one mare to him.
I didn't, because you can buy them. They're a dime a dozen, right? I hate saying that, but a lot of people are down on Uncle Peters, and you'll hear them say, Uncle Peter. I love Uncle Peters. In fact, I'm not sure that a sire has done better for us in the entire stable, ever,
Ohio?
than Uncle Peter. Maybe ever. Anywhere. A lot of our best horses were Uncle Peters. 1, 2. Yes, but he was good. Was one of them Widespread Panic?
You picked him out.
I know. It happened. I also picked
Actually, you thought he was a muscle mass.
I didn't know if he'd say that or not. I did. It's a true story. So your number 7 is Aunt Sarah. My number 7 is Rose Run Bobby. What?
Wow.
Well, that's how strong the list is that Rose Run Bobby's in 7. Do you see how much better she was? Did you see her yesterday? Clear to the front, sit in the 2-hole, get out, sprint past them.
Well, I was thinking to myself, oh, no wonder she's good. All you do is put her on the front.
And then
other people moved.
And then? Did she sit quiet?
I wouldn't have moved her where you moved her. She would have run if I had moved her.
No, she was all business. I waited until she absolutely was like, come on, can we just get going?
So can you tell me why? Because she always used to run on me coming out of the turn because she hits her right hind.
Well, hold on. We did take the bars off her since then. That's 1. And 2, you have to have her in the right frame of mind. You remember I keep telling you and trying to preach to you about being proactive with the babies and not waiting for them to do something wrong, but driving them in a way that they move forward.
No, but when I used to move her, she used to want to go 1,000 miles an hour. And
she still does, but now you get a hold of her and you let her march forward rather than just letting her trot forward 100 or letting her dictate what she does. She has to do it in a more structured manner. So I waited until she was almost begging to move, and then I moved her, but I kept the bit in her mouth. And as we got around to the point of the turn, I just showed her the whip. She got the open bridle on, she saw it, and she comes screaming out of the turn. Now, she did get a little bumpy down the lane still, but I had a good hold of her. I'm not so sure by the time she races you won't see a set of trot and hobbles on Bobby. And I'm not sure she needs them per se, but needing them and having them are 2 different things. Aunt Lily doesn't need hobbles, wears them, right? Swinging Senorita could go lots without hobbles, wore the hobbles, just because they're more effective with them on. And if Bobby still feels that little wrinkle late in the stretch, if it still is persistent throughout the spring into the start of the summer, then you'll likely see her race with trot and hobbles on. I don't think that will bother her at all. No. But you just have to, so I say to you, you have to be proactive with all the babies. And you have to understand what that means. It's easy for me to just say that, but you can't be reactionary. And a lot of the younger kids, you know, if you see the mistakes made yesterday, and this is not indicative of a poor horseman or a poor driver. This is just not being comfortable on the track. And some of it, like Emerald Tom's break yesterday, it was a little unnecessary, but that Johnny kid's got a good set of hands. I see him drive all the time. Him and Tyler do a great job on the track. But when it comes to the babies, it's a different ball of wax. These aren't racehorses. You can't drive them like that, and you can't expect them to react the same way that a racehorse does. So when it comes to Bobby or any of the other horses, you have to get inside their head. You have to know what they're thinking and what they're going to do before they do it, and head them off at the pass. Correct it before it happens. And that's the difference you see with Bobby now. You know, Bobby was hot and retarded when you had her, right? Just crazy.
She just do whatever she wanted.
And then I put the dog chain on her mouth. We put the hood on her. We put the open bridle on her and made her understand her work. It took about 3 weeks. But now she understands. And when I was sitting in the horse with Byron, she did feel a little fractious, right? Just talk to her. You know, just see Sarah a little bit and say, easy girl, easy now. And she calms right down. right? And a lot of the guys out there, they don't talk to the horses enough. It isn't necessarily what I'm saying, but it's the tone of my voice. And all those little things that people think don't matter. They absolutely do, especially when it comes to 2-year-old trotter. Babies, 100%. So Bobby, my number 7. So you can only tell how strong my list. I went with her yesterday, and I know how good she was. So my number 7's Bobby. Your number 6 is?
My number 6 is Tomboy Strong.
Tomboy Strong. Okay, talk about Tomboy Strong. You've actually gone with her more than I have.
Oh, she freaking ran on me the other day. Did you change your shoes?
Nope.
She left the flip-flops on.
No, I took them off.
Okay.
She had them on with her last 2 training trips. So
yeah, but I went with her 3 times ago.
Yeah, we took them off because she ran. Yeah.
Okay. She literally just wears trotting boots. She goes out and does her work. She's always competitive. She's always there. I don't like her dad. But anyways, that doesn't matter.
Long Tom? Yeah, well, there was some. Slim Jimmy was a Long Tom. And I don't like some of the bad Long Toms we had are terrible animals. Terrible animals. But the good Long Toms we had have been good horses.
And
Slim
her
Jimmy
brother.
and her brother's just a horrible troll and animal. But she's nothing like him. And I have to tell myself that repeatedly. I have to tell our clients that repeatedly. Tomboy Strong is not like that other horse, and I refuse to repeat his name. So number 6, was that your number 6?
Yes.
6 was Tomboy Strong. All right, my number 6 is Millie Girl. Millie Girl has been training great and actually looked better than everybody the last 3. Her and Diosa Della Danza just looked very, very good their last 3 training trips. And Perfect Thought has been, the queen of the castle forever. I dethroned her in my top 10. The last top 10 I had Blue Rare as number 1. And I thought that she just had to, we had a good conversation. He said, well, it's not fair to just dethrone a horse because they had a bad week. Well, that's how competition is.
I see that you did that. I did not do that.
Did what?
I didn't dethrone. I didn't take some horses off because of yesterday.
There has to be consistency, and it has to. The culmination of that was yesterday. But if you can tell me a horse that went bad yesterday still deserves on the list, a top 10 list instead of the 10 that I'd put on, then by all means, I agree 100%. I just didn't see a lot of that happening. I could have left Steady Volo on at any place, probably 3 through 10, but I need to see him come forward and continue to come forward. This is a tough time of year for all the babies. This is where you're going to see the cream rise to the top. You're going to see some horses that need some help, that get it, right? Unfortunately, I would have loved to see Pretty Eyes and Lies train yesterday, but she had a temperature. A lot of the horses that we've been working on will get better. Some will need a little more help, but a lot of them will get better. I just thought that yesterday was a real good glimpse into what is coming forward. So it was really hard for me to see a horse train really good yesterday and yet put a horse that made a break or didn't train as well yesterday in front of them. So your number 6 was Tomboy Strong. My number 6 is Millie Girl. I think the world of this filly for a number of reasons. I think she was great yesterday, and as good as Perfect Thought was, you need to watch where you came from. I know you know because you were sitting behind her, but everybody else doesn't. I know what kind of a mile we went. I know what kind of a last half and last quarter we went. I know how good Perfect Thought was. You came from last. So Millie,
and I was gapped off because Perfection Hanover kind of was going on.
He did. I shouldn't have put him in there, but whatever. And in regards to Perfection Hanover, I would like to talk about him for a second. I'd said to Jason, I was prepared when he pulled up just to turn him out for a month. For the horse that was so aggressive and so strong and so good at Christmas time to look so okay right now. And his hocks are still a little filled up. I want to ask Dr. Latessa if he'd do them. He asked me specifically about it, and I kind of downplayed it yesterday. But Jason let them get away too, which I hate when we do. If they don't belong, then they don't belong. That's just the way it is.
Well, I think there was a few that we need to do not a better job, but now's the time of year where we need to put them more competitively.
100%.
Because
100%.
The last thing you want is everyone to see a horse get, beat 10.
Listen, at the end of the day, if he's 10 lengths worse than Perfect Thought, then 1, that's not a horrible thing, and 2, that needs to be fleshed out. So, Millie Girl, though, has been tremendous, and I thought was extremely good yesterday, and I think has an extremely bright future. You're number 5. Now we're cracking the top 5.
My number 5 was Go Strong.
Mm-hmm.
He actually got bumped down a little bit,
mm-hmm.
and he didn't do anything wrong. He just, I don't know.
He's always. I'll tell you what he did do.
The other ones did better.
I told you, if you guys watch closely, I hit Gold Strong Hanover when I was coming through with Millie Girl. I could feel.
Go with Millie Girl.
or not Millie Girl, My Name is Swaney. I was charging through the middle. I'll call her what I want.
How many times?
I'm always going to call her that now.
My
Just name is Swaney.
No, it's just names.
My name's Swaney. But I'm going to call her Swaney mostly because I know it annoys you now. So forever, she will I'll get shirts made up. Swaney. I'm Swaney. Yes, you do. It'll bother you. As I was coming through the middle, I actually clipped him. And he never even put a step in. That's how focused that horse is. And I think when push comes to shove this summer, you're going to see for yourself how focused he really is.
For a green shoe colt?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I guarantee you there isn't 3 green shoes in existence like this horse. May not be 2. He is not your typical green shoe. So number 5 for you is Go Strong Hanover. My number 5 is Aunt Sarah. I just think she's been amongst the top. This filly division. What?
Brandy's gonna be
mad at you. Oh, yeah. Just Aunt Sarah has been so good. You know, we were joking because a number of the clients that own some of the trotting fillies, Bobby looks so good. And one of our clients said, I don't want to hear about Aunt Sarah again. Listen, Aunt Sarah's no joke. And Bobby beat her yesterday, but Aunt Sarah has just been so lights out good for so long. It's really hard for me to say, well, I beat you yesterday, so I stay ahead of you. Bobby's good and Aunt Sarah's good. They're very, very similar. And the fact that we have those horses, Tomboy Strong, we have 3 sick, real
We're
good
going to have
fillies.
to have a next generation race off.
But that's almost what happened last year, right? With Aunt Lily and the horses that come down right to the last.
Hill.
Freedom Hill actually went faster than Aunt Lily, I think, the week before in her overnight.
Was it just those 2?
I think it was those 2. And then in the colt division, we had 1 drop out. And anyway, both the fillies and colts so far 90 days out from the next gen, and they look very, very good. But Aunt Sarah, just when you see her go, it's like she's just doing her work. She understands her work, whereas Bobby is now finally learning her work. So I know that a couple of our clients, one of them in particular named Randy, might not like that Aunt Sarah's ahead of Bobby on my list. But truthfully speaking, I think fair is fair for now anyway. Aunt Sarah's number 5, and I just think that we're going to have a lot of fun with a number of these horses, and she is definitely one of them.
Did they put a hood on her?
I honestly, I don't know. Your number 4.
Bobby.
Bobby? Okay. Tell me all about Bobby. I told you about Bobby from what I feel. Do you have anything to add? You've gone with her lots.
Oh, she's nice. I can jog her now.
Mm-hmm.
She's nice.
Well, because she understands. She can't get away with that stuff anymore. You know, horses are like kids, right? If they can throw temper tantrums and they're not reprimanded, or there's no repercussions of doing that, or they don't get hurt, or they don't get themselves or the person with them in danger, then there's no big deal. But there has to be repercussions. And when it came to Bobby, ear hood, open bridle, she actually liked having the open bridle instead of the closed on. And then that dog chain did not allow her to throw her little temper tantrums the way she wanted to.
She doesn't wear anything in her mouth now.
Because she understood. But that's how smart she is. She understood you aren't going to get away with that anymore. And it was only about 10 days with that dog chain on. Now she just back to a normal snaffle bit and an open bridle and a hood. And I jogged her this week. I told you she was fine. She just wore an open, happy bridle, no hood, nothing in her mouth, no boots, no nothing, and just went out and jogged. She just has to learn. And right now, she has learned so much in the last month. I can only imagine what she's going to look like when she gets into the summer, but she understands what her work is now. So rather than looking to do something wrong, she understands she's not allowed to do things wrong.
I think she just is literally anxious, and then she just
100% she is.
Explodes because she doesn't know how to deal with it.
But now she is. Now she's taking that deep breath, counting to 3, and then executing what she has to execute. And that's important. So your number 4 was Bobby, which is fair. My number 4 is Go Strong Hanover. I think Go Strong Hanover can get to or very close to number 1 and has been there, has always been in the top 3, 4, 5 of our horses. And you'll see this summer I haven't gone with him yet in a long time, and I can't wait to go with this horse. One of these days I'll sit behind him. I can't say that it'll be this week or next, but man, he's a real treat to watch go. Just a bridle and a set of boots, and all he does is trot. And by that, I mean all he does is trot. I ran right over him yesterday, and he still never put a step in. He's like, excuse me, I was here, and now I'm not. He's just a really, really good horse. So my number 4 is Go Strong Hanover. Now we're into the top 3.
Perfect Thought, it's my number 3.
Perfect Thought is your number 3.
Yep.
Okay.
She was my number 1 last time we did this, but she it's not her fault. She got sick and she was a little blah. Mm-hmm. And some other horses weren't sick and they trained good.
And then she absolutely obliterated them yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
So
You're number 3. Okay, so you like Perfect Thought because she does everything right. The same reason everybody would talk about Perfect Thought. You have her at number 3. That is curious. I would have bet good money that she would have been at number 1 with you this week. But you don't have to say anything. Number 3 is perfectly fine. These are all good horses. My number 3 is Tomboy Strong. I think Tomboy Strong asserted herself quietly as one of the better horses we have right now, which is surprising for a number of reasons. The first being she's a homebred. I mean, for those of you that remember her mom was a horrible animal. She was so slow. I mean, slow. But it was one of these things where, do you ever see somebody that thinks they can sing, but they just should never sing? Yeah. That's Tomboy Strong. She was a horrible horse, but just thought she was good.
Not Tomboy Strong.
Sorry, not Tomboy Strong. Muscle Chrome was a terrible horse, but really, when you sat behind her, she did everything she could, and she really, like, that was a good race. I just put in a really good race, and you're like, you raced at Clinton. You're terrible.
In like 2.7.
But the fact, 1, she had good breeding, and 2, she wanted to be, at the very least, the best she could be. Every time she went on the track.
Line?
Yeah. So she wanted to be the best she could every week, and she literally thought she was a good horse, but she was the slowest horse at the racetrack almost every time she went there. You might have been better than maybe 3 or 4 factoring in breaks, but she was not a fast horse. The brother was just a terrible animal, and the reason I don't like him as much is because he squandered all the talent he had. He wasn't that much different than Tomboy Strong. She's built a little thicker and a little more stout than he was. He was longer and streamlined, but his attitude and his work ethic were just not present, and that was evident straight through it into his 3-year-old season. Now, when it came to this filly, my concern was, are you going to see that same, wow, this is a nice horse, wow, this is a nice horse, and then you get to the qualifiers, and you're like, come on. But I don't think you see it with her. She's different. She accelerates quicker. She carries her speed longer. She's got a much more competitive edge. She's just a really, really fierce competitor, and that's what I like about her. So I am going to quietly, it's not lost on me who her brother was, and it won't be for quite a while. She's going to have to prove it to me throughout the summer. But I find it really hard to believe that this isn't going to be a good horse. My number 3 is Tomboy Strong. 2.
Blue Rare.
Okay, Blue Rare. Now we're talking.
Oh, what? Now you agree?
I love Blue Rare. I think she is easily first or second best horse we have. I think she's the... anyway, you talk about Blue Rare.
She got beat yesterday.
She did, yeah. But I think Eric put her on the front and then let horses up into his rearview mirror. See, it's tough. When you're with babies and you have horses with momentum on the outside, you really have to... Eric would have had to go to the whip to come back on in that set, and I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't do that. But Blue Rare Plus, this horse has been sick.
Yeah.
At the start, she was really sick. Now, she hasn't shown many indicators, but she did cough a couple of times last week. Was she a little off her game? Yes, but her biggest thing is she's a hunter. She's good on the front, but she loves to run horses down. And Eric put her in the front and let Tomboy Strong up in his rearview mirror, and she's a very fierce competitor too. So speed-wise, I think if you just opened her up, nobody comes near her. But when you're letting horses up in a place to tackle her, then you're looking to get beat. And that's what happened yesterday. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Excuse me.
But I think you're right. Blue Rare, I'm happy that you're on the Blue Rare bandwagon now, because there was a time when
well, if you're a good horse, you're a good horse. It doesn't really matter.
And she is a good horse. Oddly enough, the only horse we have on our list similar is Blue Rare at number 2. Blue Rare, I think, could be our best horse. But yesterday has to play a role. We had a filly that had decimated everybody in her training all year long, and only her last 3 weeks was she a little bit flat. There was a flu, a little virus going through the burn. She clearly had it. Her white count got up to 12. Remember, Dr. Latessa had her on antibiotics this week, and you saw her start to come around. Her training mile on Tuesday was good. Still not up to snuff with what she's been, but good. And then yesterday she let loose with a vicious, vicious mile. Now, Blue Rare has been vicious for quite a while and has been awesome, but did get beat yesterday. So that really had to play a role. You see where I'm going with my list. Blue Rare, I think, is going to do great things for the stable and great things for us all summer long. Yesterday, she was very good. She's my number 2. Who is your number 1, Amy?
Millie.
Millie Girl, still at number 1.
No,
now,
she's never been at number 1.
How? I'm curious. Little